What's going on, guys? It's your boy Worthy Prince coming at you with another First Descendant video, and today, guys, I'm going to be talking to you about the Excava assault rifle. Now, this is the assault rifle that comes in the battle pass, and it's actually the first gun that Nexon's brought out in TFD that actually has a slight paywall behind it, because yes, you can unlock this assault rifle by just playing the battle pass for free, but to get all the duplicates and max out the unique ability, which is what I've managed to do here, as you can see, you do have to actually buy the battle pass, which means of course spending some money. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that this is the first gun that actually does have a slight paywall behind it. So with that being said, we would expect it to be somewhat good. So I decided to go ahead and do a little bit of work on this and level this up. Now, this is not a full, complete build guide for this gun, and to be honest with you, I've put a couple of catalysts in, and I don't know if I'm going to continue to max the gun out. But what today's video is going to serve a purpose of is basically showing you what the unique ability looks like when it's completely maxed out, and show you how the general mechanics of this gun works, and just show you the damage I've managed to accumulate up to this point, so you can kind of get a feel for what this gun potential could be. So let's dive into the gun and take a quick look at it. So if we look at the actual stats on this gun, you can see the firearm critical hit rate is only 3%, which is like really low. And the weak point damage comes in at 1.56, so, or 1.4, sorry, base damage. So yeah, with 3% crit rate and like 1.4 base on weak point damage, crit damage at 1.2 base stat, it's not really boasting some insane stats, is it? It's not really that high, like compared to the Thunder Cage crit rate or the Python weak point damage. It definitely doesn't seem to stack up on that front. As far as what you should build into, I've kind of done a bit of both, I guess. So a bit of weak point and a bit of crit. But that 3% crit rate you can increase, and I'm going to show you how that all works now with the unique ability. So with the unique ability completely maxed out, which is what I've done, I wanted to show you what this gun looks like when it's completely maxed out. This is how it looks. Now, when you shoot this gun, what's going to happen is you're going to create stacks of an energy grenade, and then when you look down the sights of the gun and press fire, you can then fire that energy grenade off and cause some extra damage. Now, if we go down here, you can see that you need to always start off with some like debuffs. There's like HP fire accuracy and aimed shot accuracy as well, which goes to 0% once you max the gun out. Now, the voltage charge, the stacks here, is basically how many bullets need to hit the enemy for you to generate one of those grenade stacks, okay? And as you can see here, once you get it maxed out, it reduces down to 28. So it's like 36, I think, when it first starts off. You can get it down to 28, so that way you can generate your stacks a lot quicker. And then of course you have the energy grenade as well, which you can see here is 3 stacks. And when you do have the stacks actually on your gun, it is going to give you some extra critical hit rate per stack. And if I move my camera here, you can see at the bottom, as far as the damage of the grenade goes, it's going to be your firearm damage times the number of stacks. So if you've got all 3 stacks, it's going to be your firearm damage times 3, and at max evolution here, you can see 180% extra on top of that, and that's how much it's going to cost to, well, that's how much damage it's going to do. And then of course you've got the ammo cost per shot, so every time you fire off the energy grenade, it's going to be -5 ammo from your gun. And when you do hit an enemy with the energy grenade, it's going to give them some electric resistance. As you can see at max, it's going to be -2.5% per stack with max stacks of 3. So the idea behind this is you're making them weaker to electric. So generally speaking, in my mind, I see that as they should take more damage from electric. But the interesting part about all this is I've done some testing, and I put some electric mods on the actual gun to increase the electric attack. And when I hit it with the grenade and then shoot after with the bullets with the enhanced electric attack on them, it doesn't do any more damage. So I don't really know how the electric resistance is actually really affecting the enemy, because no extra damage was done when I hit it with an electric bullet. So maybe it's only electric skills or something that applies to it and does more damage. I don't know. So if you may got a bunny on your team or something, or someone that does electric skill attacks, maybe you hitting it with that grenade will make them do more damage. doesn't really help you in solo fights and stuff, but I don't know. It's an interesting mechanic, and I don't really see it doing great things at the moment. So maybe some tweaking is required with regards to those resistances, okay? But that's basically how that all looks. That's what the unique ability looks like when it's completely maxed out. So when it comes to the actual gun, let's jump out and I'll show you how this all works. So what you want to be doing is you don't want to be just aiming down the sight constantly shooting, because if you're aiming down the sight constantly shooting, as soon as you build up a stack with your grenade, it's going to automatically shoot it, you see? So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to hip fire. It's all about hip fire with this assault rifle. So you're going to hip fire with it. Don't go down the sights. And what's going to happen is on the left hand side there, the little green box, you can see we're starting to build up some stacks. So we've got 2 stacks there already. And now we've got our 3 stacks. And now when you've got your 3 stacks on the side of the gun, this is when you can aim down the sight. You can see the gun actually changes the way it looks. It all opens up and you get like purple lights go down the side of the gun. That shows you that you've got a grenade charge on there. And when you're ready to fire the grenade off, you go ahead and aim and bang, you fire it. And that's the damage it done just there. Now, standard, just standing here with the gun in my hand, looking at the crit rate, you can see I'm currently at quite a low crit rate of 3%. The base crit rate is so low. So what you want to do is be able to try and increase that. So when you get the stacks, it's actually going to increase the amount of crit rate you have. So let's go ahead and get those stacks back again. So again, you're in the fight, you know, as you attack the enemies and you're hip firing, you are going to start seeing more orange numbers as your stacks increase, okay? So here we go. Just get another stack here, and there we go. We've got our 3 stacks. Awesome. And now we'll go take a look at our crit rate. Now we've got our 3 stacks. You can see the crit rate's jumped up to 18%, which actually isn't nowhere near as bad. Now, if you're using a Descendant like Enzo or Haley or Valby that I'm using right now, you can go ahead and increase that even further by using the module Supply Moisture. When you're standing on the water, it's going to increase your crit rate by a further 20%. So if we go ahead and put some water down on the floor and then take another look at our crit rate now, you can see we've now jumped up to 38% crit rate. So although this gun only has a 3% crit rate initially, by getting the stacks on the gun and using a skill from a Descendant, you are actually able to push it up to actually a fairly decent amount. 38% actually is pretty reasonable. And if we do that and then hip fire, you can see we're going to see a lot more orange numbers. You can see from the hip fire, we're getting like a lot of 130s, 353, 360,000 damage there, which is actually not too bad for an assault rifle. 360,000 damage, it's not too bad at all. And then of course we have the actual grenade itself that we can fire off. So we can go ahead and get some water down on the floor. And then we get the grenade off itself. And like 165,000 damage. And that's where I'm like, that isn't that great. I have actually got, I think the highest I saw was like when it crit. I think I'd done like 600,000 damage with that grenade, but it doesn't happen all the time. And I'm just thinking, you know, considering this is a maxed out ability, like, come on, you would expect it to do a little bit more, especially considering the crit rates are quite low and the damage isn't exactly insane. I would expect that grenade, especially at 3 stacks, to do a little bit more damage. So I would like to see this gun buffed, to be honest with you. I think it needs a buff. I don't think it's hitting nowhere near as hard as it should. And again, we use that grenade. And again, I'm hitting for 165. And that's me sitting on like 30-odd% crit rate just then. Well, the stacks have gone. But yeah, 30-odd% crit rate. And then getting like a very small number. I can keep doing this, and eventually I'll hit that 500,000-600,000 number, but that's not necessarily realistic to when you're in game, right? So yeah, I mean, overall it performs well, and the mechanic is interesting. It's definitely an interesting mechanic, the way you hip fire to build the stacks up, to build your crit up, and then down the scope for the grenade. But I just want to see more damage. Now that could be maybe because I've not finished the build, and let's go and take a look at what build I've got on this right now. You can see I've put a couple of catalysts in. I haven't put too many in, just put 3, and I'm hesitating putting more in because I just don't know if it's going to ramp up enough damage. So you can see at the moment I've just put action and reaction, rifle and reinforcement. I went for better concentration for extra crit damage. I don't really see the point in putting crit rate in here because you can get a few extra percent, but because you're starting at such a low amount, yeah, you can build it up with the stacks and with like Valby's water supply moisture and stuff, but it's still not going to get really high. So I don't know if I want to put like a increase crit rate mod in here specifically. I'd rather just go for the damage. And then aiming compensation plus 30 accuracy would give me some extra critical hit damage because I also put have aiming in, which increases the weak point by 40%, but it gives me a negative 20% on accuracy. And because we're hip firing, accuracy is kind of important. You want them bullets to hit. So aiming compensation kind of fit in nicely with have aiming. And then we've got concentration priority, which increases my reload by a small amount, like half a second. We get a massive 120% firearm critical hit damage, which is kind of important. Increase in the weapon magazine was important on this gun because, of course, the amount of stacks we get is dependent on how many bullets we're actually hitting. So we want as many bullets in our magazine as possible. And I think if I was going to go ahead and put a couple more mods in here, I think I'd definitely go for something else regarding the rounds per magazine. I'd probably put something in like concentrate ammo, support ammo to give me another 30% extra rounds per mag, and also a little bit more firearm critical hit damage. And then the last mod I'd put in would probably be weak point sight to give me an extra 35% weak point damage. And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, so if I put weak point sight in, 35% more damage, concentrate ammo support, 6.5% critical hit damage. Yeah, I mean, it's going to make me hit a little bit harder, but I don't know whether the amount of catalysts is really kind of worth it, you know? And then, of course, I am using a gold mod, sharp precision shot, because, of course, it's handy, this one, because, like, you want the fire rate to go up. You want to get as many bullets into the enemy as possible because more bullets into the enemy means you can activate your grenade a lot faster and get your crit rate up, etc. So having this kind of makes sense on this gun. It's not leveled up because I've got one down here that's fully leveled up, but it's 16. I can't fit it in. So I think if I was to finish this build, I would put my maxed out sharp precision shot in, concentrate support ammo, and weak point sight to finish the build completely. And I think it would be a good gun. It does work really nicely when you're playing against enemies and you're shredding enemies up. It does kill them quite nicely. It's a fun gun to play with, that's for certain, and it does feel good when you're shooting it. I just don't know how viable the gun is in comparison to what we've already got. Things that, like, are you going to use an Excava over an Enduring Legacy? Are you going to go mobbing with an Excava instead of using a Thunder Cage? And I don't know if the answer is yes on that. So I think it's a great gun. I like the mechanic, and you know, when you level up the unique ability with the extra guns, you do get the stacks faster, you get more crit rate. So that's great. That's really good. But the end result of that grenade is a bit lackluster. So I'd like to see a little bit more damage personally. But no, overall, it is a fun gun to use. You can see the damage numbers are not too bad. I mean, well, they're okay. I mean, we're looking at like 34,000, 32,000. We're hitting for crits. Weak points are like 88,000. We're hitting for weak points right now. The crits, 225,000 there I just done with the grenade. That was kind of nice. Wasn't a full stack. So, you know, I mean, it's nice, and it does kill enemies nicely in game, but this really is just a very short showcase to show you how the mechanics work, how to use the gun, and what kind of damage I'm getting with it right now. If you've got any suggestions with regards to this build, if you think maybe I'm going in the wrong direction, please leave a message in the comments. And yeah, guys, let me know what you think about the Excava. Are you excited for this gun? Are you working on this gun? Let me know down in the comments, guys. But that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. But until then, stay safe, everyone. And of course, peace out.